out as an opportunity. So we're excited he's here. He's had a really good camp, and he brings energy to the room, and we think he plays with Steeler DNA.
And to follow up to that, did you wind up with the wide receiver room that you expected, or did the wide receiver market not bear as much fruit as you were hoping in the draft of free agency or trades?
Well, I think the receivers that we ended up with, we like. We've added speed to that room. We liked Van Jefferson when he was coming out in the draft from Florida. He had an excellent week at the Senior Bowl, and he had a good week or a good year with LA, their Super Bowl year, and he's a guy with high football character, and we respected him. Scotty Miller, his route savvy, his speed, his quickness. He played on the Super Bowl winning team in Tampa. Quez, his deep speed ability, and then Roman Wilson in Michigan with the speed and the big playability he showed last year. We like the room, and we think that it's growing, it's developing. You can see it every day with the quarterbacks, the chemistry being developed.
Going back to Troy for a second, both him and Roman Wilson are dealing with injuries right now. How tough is it to evaluate where you think those guys might be at the start of the season when you're trying to make other roster moves around them?
Right. I think what we saw from both those players, we saw a lot of good things from both of them. They're both arrow-up guys. I think with Troy, we saw the physicality, the range, the toughness, the explosive power, the ability to displace people on the line of scrimmage, ability to pass protect. Going up against, we think we have three of the best edge rushers in the league in our outside linebacker room. He's done well against them. This is a small hiccup in the road, as we said. It's a long journey. It's a long season. With Roman, it was unfortunate to have the ankle, but what we saw from him was we saw his speed, his balance, his ability to uncover, catch the ball clean, and get up the field quick. He plays fast. So those guys are working hard to get back out there, and we got a long way to go in the season. We're fortunate it's not long-term deals with either guy. So they'll get back out there, knowing them and their football character and their makeup. They'll be ready to go sooner than later.
Andy, when you were talking about the offensive linemen, you're describing their football maturity. As you were evaluating the center options for you guys in the draft, how much stock did you put into college playing time and their possible readiness to contribute?
Yeah, that's a good question, Mike. I think a guy like Zach, we always respected. His number of games he started at West Virginia. He's a captain. He's a mature guy. We just knew him really well. He was right in our backyard. We had a comfort level. We saw him play here 2 years ago against Pitt. And I remember at halftime, Dan Colbert coming up to me, and he's like, "Do you see that center from West Virginia dumping guys, on the ground?" I said, "Yeah, we both saw it." And he was on our radar then. And I think it just as you got to know him. I went down last year and saw him play with Mike Butler. We saw him play against BYU, and they had 200 yards rushing in the first half. And, he was just mowing guys down, and then just getting to know the kid, doing the school visit, the makeup, he's got a special football character to him. That we took all those guys into account. They were good centers, obviously in the draft, throughout the draft, we felt. But he was one of the better ones, and we were just fortunate to get him where we got him in the second round.
Andy, looking at another West Virginia guy in Beaton Bishop, obviously not drafted, but lands here. What is it that you guys saw in him that made you interested in him, and how do all 32 teams end up passing on him?
Well, his path was a little different. Western Kentucky, a Big Ten school, and then ending up at West Virginia for years. So sometimes guys can get lost a little bit through the process, but again, at the BYU game, he had a really productive game on special teams, pass breakups, and I just think you saw the energy and the speed he played with and the physicality. He's a guy that ran to it, his aggressiveness, and we got to know him through the draft process. We identified him. He went to the Big 12 Combine, ran a really good time, and it matched up with the tape. And then as we got to know him, he just, we said, this is a Steeler type of guy, Steeler type of player. And he's out here every day competing. Is he perfect yet? No, but he's out here competing. His tail off, he's aggressive, he's physical, and he's another player we feel is an arrow-up guy.
Brandon Ayuk, the rumors of Brandon Ayuk, can you comment, or kind of, it's like the elephant in the room, everybody wants
Right.
to know about Brandon Ayuk?
Yeah, I would just say that's an Omar question, just out of respect. Omar is the point guy and all things along those lines, player acquisition. I would just defer that to him. One of the things that we do is any player that becomes available, we always do our due diligence on guys, and we always talk about them. But I just think out of respect to the process and people involved, I would defer that to Omar.
Andy, you've changed out the quarterback room. What are your early, and there's been some bumpy Rhodes for Russell and for Justin. What have you seen from both of those guys here through the first couple months of the season?
I've seen two guys, and along with Kyle Allen too. Those guys have been here every day in the off season. They've been in the building early. They stay late. They pour into their teammates. Guys are drawn to them. They've worked hard. I think in camp you're seeing, obviously Russell a little bit of a setback, but I think you saw yesterday what he's capable of. He's still got a live arm. He can hit every part of the field. He throws a majestic deep ball, accurate. I think with Justin, he's a dynamic athlete with a live arm, and when he gets out, and runs in the open field, it can be breathtaking at times. I think with Kyle, you're seeing a guy that's poised and decisive. He can get, he can make those tight window throws in the second level. He brings an energy. So, in John Rice Plumlee, what he's doing right now, competing, doing different positions, I think that room as a whole is in a really good place.
And when it comes to Russell Wilson, obviously he has a long resume, Super Bowl champion and everything. But what have you guys learned about him that might be something that's off the field throughout this entire process?
I just think that he's a personal guy. He's genuine. I knew him from being in the NFC and never beat him. He knocked us out of the playoffs in 2019. But I think he's just a personal guy. He's a football lover. His preparation, how he works, takes care of his body, just being around him. Really impressive guy. Always respected the player, obviously, and then just getting to know the person. It's been great to get to know him.
And between Troy, Zach, Peyton, and Beanie, you guys have a lot of rookies that are working with the first teams intermittently throughout camp. Have you guys seen like an extra sense of maturity in this rookie class versus others? And how do you factor that into your scouting of players when you're looking for prospects?
Yeah, I think every draft is different. And I think with this class compared to last year, they're a little bit older, 23, 24 years old. I think the year before 21, 22. But the football maturity, we talk about football character, football maturity. And these are guys that were captains. They played a lot of football. They love the game. And, they played our style. They're physical. I mean, look, if you want to be a physical, tough team, draft physical, tough players, right? Guys that love the game. It's not like a big secret or a magic formula. It's just, hey, if you want to be big, physical, and tough, go draft big, physical, and tough, and guys are smart and love the game.
Is that something that you guys can go back and forth on? Like, hey, this year we want to get younger guys that might last longer, or is that just position by position you get to take
We want the talent in the player. I just think it worked out last year with a younger class with Broderick, Darnell, Joey, Keanu, Nick, and Corey and Spencer. And I think it just fell that way this year. These guys are good football players. They're tough. They're smart. This isn't, right now we're seeing it's not too big. They're out there every day. They're running. They're not fazed by it. They love to compete and they love to work. And I think that's a group as a whole, as a team. I think that this is a team that they love to compete and they love the work, and you're seeing it before your eyes.
And you put a lot of capital in your offensive line the last couple of years. Where do you kind of see the next evolution? What areas would you like to maybe start continuing to focus on?
Well, I mean, it's just, you always want to be strong. I always believe that, your offensive line and your front seven, if they're strong, they travel in this business. And if they're really good, they travel well. If you need to go win a game on the road late in the season or a playoff game, they show up. So, I've always believed you build through the lines, offensive line, defensive line, front seven. You want to have explosive playmakers, wide receiver, guys can go get the ball. We're always going to look secondary. I mean, but you got to be strong up front, right? You got to be able to stop impose your will on other teams on both sides of the line of scrimmage.
Is it fair to say, ideally, long-term, Broderick is more suited left tackle and Troy right tackle, and obviously you have 2 first-round picks of tackles there has to be, or is that still playing out, or is that how it's ideally viewed? I guess?
Yeah, I think Omar said that in the past. At some point, Broderick will be the left tackle. But it's good to have depth. I mean, it's good to have both those guys and Dan Moore. I mean, you can never have enough, offensive line and secondary. Those are two groups that tend to, have adversity more in terms of injury and attrition. And we're just glad to have those guys. It's going to work itself out. It's a long season. You need all 53. The Super Bowl teams I've been privileged to be a part of, you needed all 53 and then some. So your depth is going to be tested at some point, maybe early, middle of the season, or later. And you have to have the guys that that can come in and play and handle it and overcome that adversity and step in.
Philosophically, do you trading premium draft picks or first, second round, first 2-day draft picks for veteran players? Is that something that you see as wise or sustainable or doing it a lot or just certain situations or?
Trading first and second day picks for veteran players and other teams. I think every situation's different. You know, I've been in 2 different places where that's happened. You know, I think, yeah, the last place, first round pick and a 3rd round pick, obviously for A.J. Brown, and then Baltimore with Anquan Bolden. You know, I see it so in other players, but yeah, that's you know, it's an opportunity, right? We always say right player, right price.
Andy, you guys add another former offensive lineman to the staff, and Arthur Smith. Just what have you learned about him since he got here, and what is it about former O-linemen that seem to transition well to coaching and front office roles?
I'm not sure. I think a lot of it is that, you know, you're used to doing the grunt work, right? You know, working together, being a part of. You're always offensive line. We say it's a team within a team, you know, and it's a brotherhood. And Arthur's been awesome to work with. You know, he jumped right in, and you know, if you remember his teams in Tennessee, the offenses, they were physical, they were tough, they were imposed their will, and it's aligned with what we want to do here and what we want to be. And they took shots downfield, they set it up for explosives. So just a great guy, and you know, an easy fit here in Pittsburgh with his mentality and his background, and just excited to work with him. It was awesome in the draft process, going through and, you know, talking about the offensive linemen, the receivers, and every position on offense. But he's got a high-level football acumen, and really a great person to work with, very personable, and you know, we're lucky to have him.
And there have been a few new front office hires in the last couple of months. What's it been like to mesh the new hires with some of the holdovers from Kevin's old staff?
Right. Yeah. You know, turnovers, it's part of the business. Doesn't happen a lot here. You know, there's always continuity and stability in Pittsburgh. But we had some scouts retire, move on, and had the opportunity to add some people here. And I think just going through it with Omar in the vetting process is just, you know, finding Steeler kind of people, you know, team players that love the game. They're passionate. They know the game. They have a high football acumen, and they're excited to be a part of it. So, you know, it's like I said with the offensive line, we're a team within a team. We believe in that, and the chemistry is important, and growing together and helping each other develop and growth and development, that's a big part of it. So the people that we hired, you know, the last 2 years, you know, we're glad to have them, and I think we're going to have bright things and good returns from them down the road.
Andy, you lost Braylon Arnold. You've got some young cornerbacks trying to make the spot. What do you think about the depth at nickel and at the outside corner?
So these guys are out there working every day. Beanie, Corey, you know, we got a number of guys there. I don't want to go through everybody, but you know, it's a time to find out, put guys in different situations, and find out who responds well. And the coaches, they're doing that. They're moving guys around, mixing guys up, and you know, we're watching it, and I think you're going to see some separation coming up here starting today. It's a great opportunity out here against Buffalo to work with them in practice, and then we'll play the game obviously Saturday night and next week in Detroit. But you know, I like the group as a whole. I like this, like I said, the speed and the physicality we added with Dante, with Beanie, with Deshaun. You know, seeing Corey Trice back out there is awesome. You know, it's a testament to his work ethic, and his rehabilitation to come back from that injury and be out there and doing what he's doing. So we're looking forward to this group. I'm watching them today and Saturday.
How surprised were you guys that Peyton Wilson fell that far into the draft? I mean, I think Omar talked about that, but your thoughts on just the fortunate circumstance there for you guys?
Well, I think when you watch Peyton, his tape jumped off. You know, he jumped off the tape when you watched him. His ability, his production spoke for itself. You know, in the pass, in both phases, run, pass rushing. His range is exceptional. You know, his 40 time was, I believe, a 4.43, and the play speed matched it. And he's a guy that his eyes work as fast as his feet. So we did our due diligence on him. You know, he was a really good football player with an excellent football character, high-level football maturity. We saw him, you know, we were able to see him in the fall. We saw him at the Senior Bowl. We interviewed him there. We brought him in here and did our homework, and we just saw him as an opportunity in the 3rd round to catch a player that, you know, ability-wise, we saw better than that. You know, and you know, credit to Omar pulling the trigger on it and doing the due diligence on him. But, you know, that guy loves football. He lives football. He's all football. And, you know, his physical attributes, you're seeing him on the field, the range he has. I mean, right off the bat the other night, you saw him make some plays, and, you know, he wasn't perfect the other night, but he's going to keep getting better and better because the guy loves the game so much and he lives it.
When it comes to Corey Trice, have you seen who you guys hope to at this point in the summer, and what is the optimism?
I think every day he's getting better. He goes out there. You know, he made a play the other night at TFL, and that was great to see. And I think it's one of those things he's just going to keep growing and getting better. I mean, he had his rookie season for the most part taken away from him, and I think you got to treat him, you know, as a rookie right now and what he's doing. But you know, he's really smart. He's diligent. He's got a great frame on him. He's got length. You know, he's moving a lot. He's moving well. You know, and his willingness to tackle you saw the other night. So just a tremendous person and you know, physically gifted, and we just want to see him keep growing each day.
Andy, you have all three of your quarterbacks on expiring contracts. Is that something you'd like to change between now and the start of the season? Or is there a comfort level letting things play out however they play out?
I think you just let them play itself out. You can't worry too much down the road. You know, you keep an eye on it, but you just, you know, take it one day at a time. Watch these guys go out there and perform and evaluate and make decisions based on, you know, at the end of the day, at the end of the season, you'll know.
Maybe just another question about the offensive line. Broderick has experience in the NFL level, but it's mostly at right tackle. You're him likely to eventually shift to left tackle. You know, how does that complicate the decision-making process when you decide that Troy is ready and you want to plug him in?
I don't know if it complicates. I think it's nice to have guys that are flexible like that. You know, he came in here last year. He hadn't played much right tackle, you know, in his career. And he came in and, you know, it's hard to do. It's hard to go right to left. It's not easy. And, you know, I know guys down the road, excellent high-level guys, it takes time. But for him to be able to do that, flip back and forth, you know, that's a testament to his athletic ability, his physicality, and his willingness. You know, the guy's a selfless team guy to be able to go back and forth and do that and do what's best for the team. So, you know, it's good to have depth there and have guys that have that versatility.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Andy.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Just FYI,